Hello and welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of sports and the whirlwind of sports news across the sports world in all major sports continues.
It's
We've
been quite
covered
a week.
college basketball, baseball is officially returned, and there's more news in the world of football because Khalil Mack has been traded to the Los Angeles Chargers. Tim, you being a Bears fan, I know you're going to have a couple thoughts on this one. So without further delay, I think we're just going to dive right into it and run the table, theoretically speaking.
Let's run it.
So the first thing we have to do is break down the trade. The Chicago Bears dealt Khalil Mack to the Los Angeles Chargers for a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 sixth round pick. So the caveat to that is that the Chargers take on all of Khalil Mack's remaining contract, which totals out to be 3 years, $64 million left. So what do we make of this deal?
When I first saw it, I was like, really? We're doing this? But the more I look at it, and the more I
Yeah, you're
think
doing
about
it. It's a thing.
the more that I look at it, and the more that I think about the situation that the Bears are in franchise wise, and the stage that Mac is in his career. Obviously, his previous season was riddled with injuries, missed quite a few games. He obviously still has that hefty contract. And the Bears are looking to go elsewhere. In terms of the age of a lot of their roster and the defense in general. They're looking to retool that defense with some different guys, and part of that is going to be opening up some of that cap space, which with them taking on that contract really helps. Because when I first saw the deal, it was not official yet whether or not they had taken on that contract. I'm like, if they didn't take on this contract, then why did we get literally nothing for it, or seemingly nothing? Because here's the thing. I mean, he has dipped down a little bit in production over the last like two or so seasons.
Darius Smith
And
is better than
obviously
Khalil Mack,
at this stage in his career, yes, probably.
and for the last 2
Um,
years.
Maybe. We can talk about that at another point. But with the way that he still is as a player, he can give the Chargers very good production if he stays healthy and if he fits well into that D line. Which, when you line up across the defensive line from Joey Bosa, chances are you're bound to have at least a decent amount of success, because they can't just focus on you. Similarly to how he's been dealt with the Bears for the past couple of years. So overall, I would say I understand the deal. I like where they seem to plan on going with it. I don't know if I necessarily call it an overall success unless I see the type of moves they make after this to actually improve the defense, whether or not it was worth it getting rid of Mac.
Yeah, because you didn't exactly get much. I mean, you got a second rounder this year and a sixth rounder
Yeah.
next year.
It's just what they do with the cap space, I think, in my mind, is what's going to really make the difference. Because the
Yeah,
draft picks,
that's
you can't really replace that kind of player, that kind of production with those picks, most likely, especially if you're the Bears and their
Bears.
drafting ability. Um,
Bears.
but it's whether or not it depends on what they end up going after in free agency, whether or not that can truly improve their defense to fill some of the holes that they have. And they haven't had many holes on defense over the past couple of years. But they definitely could use this extra cap space well to retool that defense and retool all parts of the team, because there's plenty of things that need to be worked on.
Yeah, I think for the Bears, the real kicker here is not the picks. We've made that very clear. It's the cap space. It clears up
Yep.
about $8 million this year, but the real big one is that it clears up $23 million next year.
Ooh.
And for a 31-year-old pass rusher who has been riddled with injuries over the past 2 seasons and not very much so not what he once was, with a quarterback type salary, I think the dump is completely understandable, although Bears fans are a little bit miffed at the return. But
It
the
depends on how you
the
look at
picks
it.
are
A
not
lot
the
of people don't.
purpose. It
A lot of
depends
people
on
don't look at
perspective.
it with that kind of depth. They look at it like we just got 2 picks and neither one of them is even a first. Like, how is this worth it? Well, it depends on what you're looking for. And I think in terms of the overall franchise, it does make sense. But can we talk about the AFC West? When is it going to end?
Yeah, let's get into the Chargers and their side. And it's clear that the AFC arms race is clearly on, especially in the AFC West. Teams continue to get better. This is why free agency is so fun. It's like a
Yeah.
game of chess, right? The Broncos add a quarterback, the Chargers add somebody to go wreck his
Except
face.
everybody is going all in like immediately. They're not even taking any breaks and taking any chances on other teams jumping on some of the guys they're looking to get.
No rest for the weary at all. And now the Chargers get to pair Khalil Mack with Joey Bosa on the defensive side of the ball on the edges,
If they can
which,
keep Mac healthy, that's pretty scary.
yeah, that is pretty scary because although Khalil Mack is not what he used to be, he's
He's still
still a
very
very,
solid.
very good defensive player.
Yeah.
So for the Chargers, I mean, it doesn't make sense for them to not add because like the Broncos just got Russell Wilson, the Chiefs are the
Yeah.
Chiefs, the Raiders are looking to expand
They
on their
gotta they
playoff
gotta
berth
do
last year.
something. And, and
But
and they did
you
not reach
have
quite
to
the
add.
expectations of what they could have done with last season. So they know they need more. They need to do more. And that of course starts on the defensive end here with adding Mac, and we'll see what other changes they might try to make before the season starts.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that not just the Chargers, but all teams in the AFC West will continue to add, quite frankly, as much as they can, try to find value picks and veterans, go sign marquee free agents, with the teams that do have the cap room, and they're gonna restructure and they're gonna try to get stuff done. But
Yeah.
yeah, is there anything more that we really have to cover here other
You know,
than
I just the one thing that comes to mind that's kind of crazy to me, and it's like I don't know if there's any real way to like quantify this stat. But it's like, could we be looking at one of the most powerful divisions in NFL history?
who
Like,
knows?
has there ever been a division that has had the type of quarterback play and even overall team play that comes from these four teams combined? It's like it's pretty much unprecedented.
Well, we thought the NFC West last year was really, really good. The AFC West this year has a chance of being even better.
Yeah, and here's the thing: they have the chance to have some hiccups where some teams may take steps back from the success they had last year, and they may not live quite up to the expectations of the hype. But it's
Yeah,
certainly setting out to be one hell of a division heading into next year.
absolutely. And as far as the Bears go, it's clear that Ryan Poles is willing to swing big and B, reconstruct his team how he wants to. The message is clear, and the Bears are going to continue to make moves in going into the offseason and seeing that the team is rebuilt how Ryan Poles wants to.
They also just did just a little bit ago released Tariq Cohen, which is another big move for the Bears. They released him because he was unable to pass his physical coming back from. So they released him with an injury designation. He wasn't able to pass his physical after coming back from the knee injury. So that's another guy that makes a quick
That makes
exit out of the Bears this offseason.
Yeah, that makes a little more sense. It's not exactly like a cut cost type thing. It's just you
Yeah,
are unable to
it's
perform at the game of football, so there's no purpose for having you on the
yeah. If he
roster.
can't
So
pass his physical, then what is he doing there? Really
yeah, exactly.
doesn't do him much good being on
Moral
contract
support,
on
he's short.
a
What
team.
do short people provide to the table? Like, come on, let's be real here. Anyway,
Shoulder rests.
oh boy, we are so tired. It has
It's been a
been
long week,
it's
out
been a
inside
long
and
week for the
outside of
both of us.
sports.
Yeah. Oh, you have no idea. But we think that'll wrap it up for this episode of Running the Table. We've covered all the major trades so far in this early offseason. Russell Wilson getting dealt to the Broncos, Carson Wentz getting dealt to the Commanders, and now Khalil Mack getting dealt to the Chargers. And we'll be sure that there will be more sports content coming, whether it be the NFL, the MLB, thank God that's back, and college basketball, because Selection Sunday is right around the corner. So
We
stay
got
tuned
so
for
much
all of
coming
that
up.
and then some. So like and subscribe for more Running the Table content, and we out.